from the Fed. Don't forget about the Fed. Is 50 still on the table or not for March? Taking a look at where we are in terms of the movers, equities pretty much across Asia in positive territory. In the FX market, some weakness in some of those currencies. The yen in particular down about 0.2%, but the currency we're keeping a watch on, of course, Rich, is the yuan, trading at a 4-year high, prompting the PBOC to come in to fix it weaker than expected. Currently, 631.19 is the level we're watching. Keep a watch on what the Central Bank of Russia is doing. If it does sell yuan-denominated assets, we could see some weakness in that currency. And in the commodity space, as you said, we're seeing Brent crude higher 0.7%, still elevated at 98.68. WTI crude also in positive territory, but gold, as risk appetite increases, gold seeing some selling. And in the bond market, we're seeing some bonds yields currently falling, suggesting perhaps that investors are still looking for some haven. So investors still on edge, but today the mood is pretty positive.
All right, let's have a look at important data out of China. Purchasing Managers Index, this manufacturing side of things, better than expected. Perhaps it's giving a bit of a fillip to some of those bulls out there. There we go, better than expected. Numbers coming through. This
where Prime Minister Scott Morrison is speaking, and he is committing $50 million to support arming Ukraine. He's also giving $25 million for humanitarian support for Ukraine. Of course, the global community is coming together to support Ukraine. We'll bring you the very latest as the headlines come through. Now, in the latest hit to the Russian economy, the U.S. has now banned transactions with the Russian central bank effectively freezing huge piles of its foreign reserves. It's also targeted the Russian Wealth Fund and Ministry of Finance. Some Russian banks have already been banned from the global SWIFT network, cutting off payments channels. The U.S., EU, and U.K. are continuing to add restrictions for a range of Russian companies. Plus, Vladimir Putin and his close allies are being hit with specific measures. For more on this, we have our global economics and policy editor, Kathleen Hayes. Plus, our emerging market strategist, Simon Flint, joins us for a look at the market's impact. Kathleen, first off, what impact are we seeing this have on Russia?
What we're seeing, as Bloomberg Economics calls, a financial crisis now in Russia, clearly created by these growing financial sanctions, the fact that it has hit commodity prices, oil prices, the fact that it's hit the ruble so very hard. So Russia, Putin, and his team not waiting. Today, in the early hours of the Russian trading day, they raised their key rate. They doubled it from 9.5% to 20%. They're not messing around. That's as the ruble hit a record low. Bank of Russia saying they're doing this as conditions have, financial conditions, I should say, have drastically changed. That's putting it mildly. And so the U.S. itself not waiting. The EU and the U.S. said over the weekend that they were getting ready to put some kind of sanctions, do something against the Central Bank of Russia. What the U.S. did was to ban all U.S. transactions by people, individuals, by businesses having anything to do with Russia's central bank. Now remember, Russia has a total of about 630 billion foreign exchange reserves. They're placed at a lot of different central banks around the world, and if they can't get their hands on those, then how can they defend the ruble? So that is the problem. They've got their own gold, they've got other things to help them do that, but the Treasury Department made it very, very clear. They're doing this for a specific reason. As Janet Yellen said, they want to limit Russia's ability to finance destabilizing activities, to stop the war on Ukraine. They want to immobilize any Bank of Russia assets held in the United States. So this is clearly stepping the sanctions up again. And as much as a lot of people were skeptical, and many still are, about really and truly effective how they will be in terms of stopping Vladimir Putin, they're certainly exacting pain, and that's something that the Russian government has to be trying to take care of and feeling some pressure from.
Kathleen, we've got a Beijing administration which is treading very carefully on this. It's a bit of a tight walk for them. Now, tell us a little bit about the PBOC and what are we hearing from them, if anything, on this?
Well, so far we're we're not hearing much. Now we know that everyone's looking because China is one of the biggest holders of Russia's foreign exchange reserves. Russia has about 13 billion of its reserves in yuan assets. So it could make a move. It could do something to help Russia in this regard. And the PBOC also has currency swap lines with Russia's central bank. Remember how the U.S. used currency swap lines with many of the G10 nations during the great financial crisis? China could do this. I think the big issue for China is they're in kind of a tough spot too, because traditionally they try to respect sovereignty, boundary lines, and when Russia just decides to, without provocation, attack Ukraine, basically at war with it, now threatening to kill the president outright, you can understand how that puts China in kind of an awkward position. Do they want to support that? Can they find a way to help Russia with its foreign exchange, its reserves, and supporting the ruble? That's the question.
Kathleen, just a moment. We have breaking news with Naoki. Go ahead, Rish.
Yeah, it's just exactly what you're going to say. We've got NatureAkaNature there at the moment, being nominated to the board in Japan. We've got another nominee as well here, economist Hajime Takata, also joined the board in Japan. This comes against this background where the kind of landscape for the Japanese central bank is changing a little bit, Kathleen, isn't it? And, you know, there's even been talk recently about normalization of monetary policy.
Well, and of course, Governor Kuroda continues to insist it won't happen yet, but when you see bond yields rising around the world, when you see inflation, at least it's not getting lower, it's improving a little bit in Japan, the global pressures are there. It'll be interesting to get more on these people's background. What do you know about what they think about monetary policy? Governor Kuroda only has about, another year left in his term, so it's becoming a much more pertinent question, who they're choosing now and what they're trying to signal. I know people in the past have said, we'll get this big backing away from this extraordinary stimulus that was the hallmark of Abe and Kuroda when that change is made. It's a year now, but then it'll be 6 months, and then it'll be 3 months, and then it will be upon us.
So again, you know, with that being said, you know, with gold, with Russia and with United States, with Russia going to war with Ukraine, Europe Union and United States, have seized any central banks, any like from Swift banks, any banks, they have definitely seized most of the banks from Russia, and they basically stop any type of. They're trying to stop Russia from attacking Ukraine. They're trying to stop that from happening, basically. If that's why gold is selling down now, is because Russia, like I said, Russia has a lot of commodities and gold. Russia is very, very wealthy. Even with them stopping the banks with Swiss banks from Russia, Russia still has a lot of money and wealth where they can basically do whatever they want. So they're trying to the United States is trying to stop Russia from invading and killing Ukraine president, and invading Ukraine territory, as this will start like World War III. And they're trying to stop this from happening. That's why they're any assets, like you just heard, any assets, anything that has to do with Russia, United States is basically seizing anything that has to do with Russia from United States. United States is controlling that, trying to do as much as they can to stop Russia from attacking Ukraine. So we could see that happening. So it's likely that it remains in case that it's more upside is possible. As the Russia-Ukraine crisis unfold. As United States, Europe Union is stopping Russia from trying to prevent Russia from attacking Ukraine, but it's likely that the 2022 high has been established, that 1974 high has been established, and we can see now sellers pushing price back down. As you can see, gang, we can see sellers pushing price back down. You see on a daily, you see a black candlestick pushing price back down to take profit 1885, and we could be in a downtrend now. As you know, the banks have seized Russia any asset